Let's talk about the oil and gas space. We have started to see fuel consumption back home in India go up. This at a time when we started to see globally prices also go on the boil. On top of that, not till this week at least, you were seeing the rupee depreciate against the dollar, which is of course a double whammy when it comes to the oil and gas space. On top of that, we have a big privatization on the cards, which is of BPCL. Today we're going to be talking about the oil and gas space with Mr. M.K. Surana of HPCL, who is joining us live today on the market. Mr. Surana, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Good morning. This is Nayantara. I'll take, we want to talk to you about consumption, production, the trends that we're seeing, particularly for the economy. But I'll begin with a question that every Aam Aadmi will also want to know about, which is to do with the petrol and diesel prices. So, Mr. Surana, even though we've seen, crude oil prices go up and the forex also, the impact that we've seen, for the last few days, petrol and diesel prices have not been touched. Will these prices now be frozen, let's say, till March 14th, which will, of course, be the counting day for all of the states that are going into elections? I know that technically, on paper, the prices are deregulated, but at the end of the day, in practice, we do sometimes see during election season prices not being changed.
Good morning, Nantara, and good morning to all of you there, and happy Makar Sankranti today. See, the oil prices is a bit difficult subject, as I always mention, that while we try and we make all the efforts to align the domestic prices to the international product prices, considering the exchange rate, the variation in the crude prices, the exchange rate, the product tracks, and ultimately the international product prices. But we also try to ensure that there are not hikes and spikes every day and ups and downs to ensure that there is some amount of moderation. A part of moderation happens because it is the 15 days rolling prices. And we also have got a little bit of estimation of the way the prices move. And so we try to ensure that there is more stability in the price. So that's what I can tell you about the pricing part of it. And as you have rightly said, the crude prices have moved up and down. It went down to 74. It came up today to 84. So it has been moving. This is a volatile period. And we have got choices to keep on moving up and down every day or keep it a little bit of stability so that overall in a bit of a slightly longer range, we have got the alignment to the international prices.
How this pans out, Mrs. Surana. In the past, we have seen, of course, an election effect as well. Counting days on March 14th, you've got big states like Uttar Pradesh, Punjab going to polls. But let's talk about fuel consumption too. Despite the record high prices that we started to see, consumption was increasing till the end of December. Now, after that, the Omicron wave took over. We've seen states come out with various regulations, tightening of movements, etc. Will that impact volumes? Has that impacted consumption?
So, as of December, as you already said that it was going up. The MS growth was high, but diesel was almost to the pre-pandemic level. In January, we have seen a little bit of subdued effect because of the Omicron virus. But as we all know, the new variant seemed to be less lethal than the Delta variant, which was there earlier. And so, as of today, while there may be a little bit of restriction which has been announced by some of the states in the last 2-3 days, but petrol still continues to be above the pre-pandemic level. There is some impact on diesel, but I believe that it is a passing phase because many of the states, the Omicron wave has already peaked in. Even some of the countries, it has already picked up now. So we should see a downward trend on the infections, which we are already seeing in some of the places. And if we have to follow the example of South Africa, so where after peaking in a month or so, there was a drastic reduction. We also assume that in a couple of weeks in India also, it should come down. And to that effect, we don't expect major lockdowns in states or on the country level. And so I believe that apart from January, where there may be some effect because of some night curfews and people themselves following certain discipline, some of the instructions where the offices are being asked to operate at a reduced level, I don't see a major long-term impact of Omicron on the demand. And I assume that apart from ATF, we should be in a pre-pandemic level or above pre-pandemic level by the end of
the year. Sir, but I go back to a very basic point, sir, which is that why are crude prices going higher? We know that EV is going to be more, the tilt towards EV is going to be increasing, the tilt towards cleaner fuel would be increasing, the tilt towards better energy efficient usage will be increasing. If that is the underlying thought, then why are crude prices higher?
So let's see the whole issue in a totality. So fact remains that the energy demand in major developing economies continue to increase. And even though there is a lot of discussion, there are a lot of push towards the greener options and other forms of energy, let's say electric mobility or the green power, etc. The total demand increase is high, and these new form of energy are still trying to develop itself. Means there is a technological issue, there are the infrastructure issue, and there is a overall acceptability and the economics issue. And therefore, it is still a time where we can start seeing a substantial penetration of e-vehicles in the total transportation system or the alternate forms of energy. Now, till the time the new forms of energy finds its way substantially, we have to rely on the traditional forms of it. Now, what has happened is because of this whole narration, the investment in the traditional fossil fuels have reduced, that you all know, in the upstream sector. So the potential additional sources of fossil fuel, the visibility is lesser. But at the same time, the demand is increasing, leading to one thing is also an impact of the artificial constraint on the supplies, which is there by the major producing countries as per the OPEC plus narration, where they are increasing the supplies at 400,000 barrels per month. But actual compliance level, we are not getting 400,000 barrels actually in the market, because some of the countries of OPEC plus nation are not able to meet even their quota. And therefore, we are getting around 257,000 barrels a month increase, but the demand is increasing much higher. The effect of Omicron, which was thought may be substantial, is not that much as it was thought. So definitely the demand is high, the supply is not matched with it, and so the crude prices are going on. It is also coupled with some of the issues which are like in Libya, there is some production capacity down. In Kazakhstan, there is an impact of some of the production capacities being out. So it is a combined effect that you are seeing the crude prices going high. But I also believe that 80 plus crude prices is not what is sustainable in the longer run. So while you may see the phases where we see the crude prices above it, but in a longer run, it has to come down below it.
Interesting. So at a time like this, Mr. Surana, given that there is that big overhang of EVs and right now there are some uncertainties playing around the third wave, what happens to your CAPEX plans for FY23?
So our CAPEX plan is intact. In fact, most of our projects are reaching to a completion stage. Like I said earlier, Mumbai Refinery expansion project we have commissioned, and now the units are fully stabilized. The Vizag Refinery expansion project is almost nearing completion as far as the expansion units are concerned. And even the bottom upgradation unit will be getting completed by the end of this calendar year. and Rajasthan refinery also going at a rapid pace. Most of our cross-country pipelines we are planning to commission in this financial year. So we are on our capex phase, which we are pitching it at the right time, where the refinery GRMs are improving, and our major capex was on the refinery side, and petchem and LNG, and both of these are in the sweet spot right now. So we will be doing around 15,000 crore of capex in here. We have already done over 10,000 crore by now, and in the balance period of we should be able to complete the whatever is the remaining thing which we have. So rather 11,000 crore we already done by now by December. So by end of the year we'll be ending it around 15,000 crore on the capex part this year.
Sure. But Mr. Surana, tell me, crude being your primary raw material, you not passing on the crude prices on to consumers up until now, isn't that going to impact your margins in the near term?
No, right now the margins are reasonable on the, though the crude prices are going up on day-to-day basis. Sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down. There is a lot of volatility on the crude prices in the current time. But as I mentioned earlier in the discussion today, on a slightly longer horizon, we are trying to ensure that there are reasonable margins, and at the same time there is no day-to-day spikes in them.
Okay, Mr. Surana, we have run out of time, so we're going to wrap up this conversation with you today. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for joining us live.
Thank you so much.